Hello, thank you for joining us for a beginning crochet tutorial. Today we're going to discuss the best type of crochet needles for someone who is just learning to purchase, the best type of yarn to get started with, and the first stitch, which is a simple chain stitch. Alright, well first I'm going to walk you through the different types of crochet needles. Now, obviously these are all just normal crochet needles, and I don't have what's called a Tunisian crochet needle, but the most common, which a beginner will want to start with, is one of these. These are something that's very easily bought at any store, or in this case online from Joann's or Amazon or Hobby Lobby or even Walmart. They're very inexpensive. I would not get plastic because plastic has a tendency to break. Get the metal ones. However, if you have any type of hand or arm pain, such as carpal tunnel, this is not the best thing to do a repetitive motion with. It's best to do, if you have that, I would spend the extra money and get one of these hooks. I would recommend starting with a size G, which is what this is, a G, or 4mm, or an H, which is 4.5mm. This is from Clover. These actually do a really good job of cutting back on wrist pain. Now this is a fun one that's also fairly ergonomic. I like these, and this one specifically is from Yarn Story, but it also, if you like to crochet in the dark and this doesn't hurt your eyes too much, it actually lights up, so you can crochet in the dark or in a darker room, especially if you're using black yarn. This is very helpful. This is from a company called Furls Crochet. This is what I use because I have carpal tunnel. It's very expensive. This is not for a beginner. This is for somebody who's been crocheting for years and it knows they will continue crocheting. So I would highly recommend for a beginner to either get this or this. So either just the plain metal, which you can get from Boyer, which is usually Boyer, but there's other brands that also make a good metal crochet hook, and then there's this from Clover. There's also some off brands that you can find on Amazon that are very similar and have a very similar grip. Now, the other thing you really need to get is a tapestry or yarn needle. They make different sizes. This one's fairly small and it's actually not the right size what I would use for most. You want something with a very large eye that you can get the yarn through very easily. This would be rather difficult. Now, I'm going to use my crochet hook. But to talk about the yarn that you should get started with is called a worsted weight or a medium weight yarn. It's you'll also see a number 4. So this is Caron's Simply Soft, so it's a little bit expensive. For a beginner, I would recommend starting with Red Heart yarn, just the basic cheap Red Heart yarn. It's a solid brand, and while you're learning, you don't need anything more expensive. So this is, as you can see, this is what this looks like. It shows the size needle it recommends. It recommends a size H, which actually this is an actual size H, but that's mainly a suggestion. You don't have to limit yourself to what hook size the yarn recommends. It also shows the knitting needle size, and it shows the washing instructions right here. But this, I want you to pay attention to this. You don't want to start with anything smaller. Don't go with anything that says sport weight, fingering weight, 3, 2, 1, way too small. Anything bulky, especially when you're learning, it's going to have you'll have a lot of instances of the needle going through the yarn like that. This is harder to do that on. Still possible, but it's easier to do on a bulky weight or a super bulky weight yarn. All right, so let's get started on the actual crocheting. So my grandmother taught me how to crochet when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and the first thing she taught me how to do is how to hold the yarn, because the most important thing is to keep an even tension in the yarn. So you'll pull from one end and you'll have the string from this side. So as you see, I was holding it wrong earlier. So if you were going to do it, you're always pulling from the ball of yarn. But you want to keep an even tension. So how I do it is I put it in between my pinky, or in between my pinky, this way. So coming out of the yarn would be going, and then around my other fingers, and then I hold it between my thumb and either my middle finger or my ring finger, and I keep my index finger somewhat pointed. So that doesn't feel right for some reason right now. And that's right, it's just, okay. So if I'm gonna start, when you start to get it on the hook, you're gonna make a slip knot. So you just make a loop and pull the yarn through. So you've got a slip knot and you've got this bit hanging there. So then you put your needle in, pull it tight. You want it a little bit loose. See, it has a little bit of give there. You don't want it too tight. You want the needle to be able to get in and out very easily. And so you hold, you can see where I'm holding it now. Now, to do a simple chain stitch, which is almost always the beginning stitch of any pattern, it's very simple. You get the one loop on there, and then you put the needle underneath the yarn, and you use the hook to grab the yarn and pull it through. And you just, so you put the yarn needle under the yarn, so it kind of wraps around just once, and you let the hook grab the yarn and pull through. So I'm going to try and get it from a different angle. Okay, and pull it through. Now, I'm obviously right-handed. If you are left-handed, please go to YouTube, find some left-handed crocheters and watch their tutorials, because everything's mirror imaged, which I know you know, but please don't try and confuse yourself anymore. Don't try and learn it right-handed. Please go to YouTube, find a left-handed crocheting tutorial. There's plenty out there. So you just go like this, and you continue making your chain. Now, here I haven't been too careful with how even I'm making my stitches, and that will affect how everything goes in a pattern. You want to try and keep your stitches about the same size. So I'm going to pull it back out to that first stitch again. See if I can't get a little bit more even. So we're just going to pull through. All right, now we're going to look at this. So while my stitches may be a little bit bigger right now, they are even, and that's very important for later when we're doing more patterns. Now, as we get into more complicated things, we might discuss front loop and back loop and the third loop, but that's not anything you need to worry about right now. Right now, learning a simple chain stitch. Now, if you found this tutorial helpful, please respond, let us know, like the post, or please leave a comment. If this is, because we're looking to see what posts actually appeal to people. So if you like the crochet tutorial, let us know. Thank you very much. And please don't forget to check out our other online videos and programs, and share with anyone who share with friends or family to let them know about everything that we're providing during this time.